Hi, I'm Marc, and on this channel I talk about Brexit and UK politics. With quite a self-confident speech on Tuesday, British opposition leader Keir Starmer confirmed that he was ready to take over government responsibility in London, and he means 10 Downing Street. At his Labour Party conference in Liverpool, the 61-year-old promised an end to the ongoing decline under the Tories and a decade of renewal if Labour wins the election next year. Before his 55-minute speech could begin, a 28-year-old protester ran onto the stage, threw glitter at the party leader and called for real democracy before the stewards dragged him away from the podium. To the applause of the hall, Starmer took off his dark jacket, rolled up the sleeves of his crisp white shirt and spoke of the change in his party since the time in office of his predecessor Jeremy Corbyn of the hard left. Labour has left the protest phase behind it. Now we are serving party and our country comes first, he said. A tour of the Liverpool Congress Centre and the party conference headquarters made clear the rediscovered desire to shape the party, which has been in opposition since 2010. Starmer had expressly forbidden his shadow cabinet from any triumphalism in advance, and the tone remained decidedly sober. Some words are really hard. When announcing political plans for the intended term of government, the Speaker always pointed out that they would, of course, first need the mandate of the electorate. Controversial discussions, for example, about a possible rapprochement of the Brexit island with the EU, were out. Even at the traditional thematic events on the sidelines of the annual meeting, the so-called fringe meetings, there was predominantly demonstrative agreement. Labour instead sought to present itself as a serious alternative to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's Conservative ruling party, which presented a chaotic picture at its own party conference in Manchester last week. In the polls, the largest opposition party is ahead of the Tories by up to 20 percentage points. A triumph in a by-election in Scotland last week also suggested that the dominance of the SNP National Party there could be coming to an end. And this would even enable a landslide victory for Labour in the general election, which is last due in January 2025, but expected in October 2024. Opposition leader Keir Starmer presents himself at the Labour Party conference in Liverpool as the politician who can bring the necessary change to the United Kingdom. However, the conference was also overshadowed by the events in Israel. If the political future of the two major parties in Great Britain could be judged by the number of participants at party conferences, Labour would be ahead. While many Conservative MPs stayed away from the meeting in Manchester last week, the venue in the English coastal city of Liverpool, which ended on Wednesday, was barely enough space for the many Labour Party members, delegates and lobbyists who travelled there. In fact, the party is currently 18 to 20 percentage points ahead of the Tories in the polls, as I said. And this means they are currently considered favourites in the elections. And, we will know more in autumn 24. However, Labour MPs and pollsters have made one thing clear again and again. The race is not yet decided. After 13 years of Tory government, the road to recovery is difficult but doable, said Starmer. The state health system, NHS, needs to be reformed, and he wants to build 1.5 million new apartments. Switching to green energy saves money and creates new jobs and thus more growth, he says. Britain must, can, and will get its future back. That's what he declared to thunderous applause. There were no surprising announcements in the hour-long speech, and how Starmer plans to finance his plans was not explained in detail either. During the course of the conference, however, MPs repeatedly made it clear that they supported Starmer's course, except the glitter. Many party members also showed understanding that the leadership did not want to make any mistakes or false promises, although I must say he made a lot of false promises on Brexit. While Starmer is not considered charismatic, the appearance of his deputy Angela Rayner were very well received. She is popular because of her working class background. Yeah, same as me. But Starmer's path to the top of the party was not predetermined either. He was the only one of 4 children to attend secondary school. His childhood and youth were overshadowed by his mother's illness. She suffered from Still's disease, that's a rare disease with severe rheumatic attacks. After leaving school, Starmer studied law at Leeds and Oxford. Then he worked as a human rights lawyer. In 2008, he was appointed chief prosecutor by the Labour government. In 2015, he won a seat in the British Parliament, and in 2016, he was appointed as the party's Brexit representative by then Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn. After Corbyn announced his resignation following the party's crushing defeat in the 2019 general election, Starmer became the new leader in April 2020. And then a mammoth task lay before him. Ultimately, Labour struggled with internal divisions, and a protracted anti-Semitism debate paralyzed the party. After his election, Starmer pledged to restore relations between Labour and the Jewish community. Corbyn, who has repeatedly expressed his solidarity with the Palestinians, was expelled from the party. The Hamas attack on Israel and the military response brought this chapter back to mind this week. However, MPs unanimously condemned the attacks. The Labour Party strongly supports Israel's right to defend itself, rescue hostages and protect its citizens, said David Lemmy, the party's foreign affairs spokesman. International Development MP Lisa Nandy stressed that financial support for the Palestinians need to be reconsidered. It is right to check how British money is spent. We're doing the same in Germany and the EU, by the way. If he wins the next general election, British opposition leader Keir Starmer wants to heal the kingdom. At his Labour Party conference in Liverpool on Tuesday, he announced that he wanted to give Britain back its future after those 13 years of Conservative government. People look to us because they want to see our wounds heal and because we are the healers, he said. At the same time, Starmer warned against expectations that were too high. There was no magic wand to reverse the explosion in the cost of living in Great Britain caused by, among other things, the COVID pandemic, Brexit, and the effects of the war in Ukraine. Starmer called for ambition, determination, patience if he succeeds current Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. A decade of national renewal, that's what's going to be needed, Starmer told a cheering audience. The Labour leader indicated that he would aim for at least 2 terms as head of government after the next general election. But the elections are indeed far from won. Labour is positioning itself at this conference to try to embody the model of a party that is simply capable of governing. We must end the perpetual decline caused by the Tories and begin this decade of renewal, is what Keir Starmer said in his speech at the party conference. And indeed, there were no frills, no shrill tones, no arrogance, just plain solid government work. And Starmer profiles himself as an alternative to the volatile and sometimes populist policies of the Conservative government, which cannot achieve its goals in many areas. Rishi Sunak's cabinet has just had to cancel one of the largest infrastructure projects in the United Kingdom, a high-speed rail line to the north. And the government is making no progress in reforming the NHS health service. And Sunak also cannot deliver on his promise to reduce the number of refugees coming in boats across the English Channel. So the chances for Starmer are quite good. And the point is, with a normal Conservative party in the UK, I would not be happy about this. You know my political positioning. But in the case of this Conservative party at the moment, I'm in trouble. But if you want to see something else right now, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.